Hello and welcome to the January update here at Revesby Estates and on the farm. So weather-wise, in January we had 78.5 millimeters of rain in total, which was on the high side of normal, as is the normal case for the last 2 years now. So we've got a lot of rain falling, so that's a lot of water we've had to deal with, which is something I will talk about in this update. Rest of the weather, we had a minus 6 degrees, which was on the 12th of January, and we actually had a high of 12.3, which is right back at the beginning on the 1st of January. So in January we've had the storm passing through, and the whole of the team, the farm and the estate, were called into action to clear debris off the road, which everyone got onto straight away and made sure that people could still travel around the area of Revesby freely, and you will have seen some of that on our social medias. So yes, talking about the rain, you may notice I'm actually stood in a ditch because we have been doing a lot of ditching work on the estate. So this is one of the ditches that we've got cleaned out, and you can see they've done an excellent job of leaving the bank here. They've cleaned the bottom out, they've scooped the bottom out, but we've left the vegetations on the sides so that it holds the side up, stop it collapsing back in. This here is one of our land drains, which is running off that field there, so you can see it here, and it is actually just dripping. So we're just moving water off the field, but then there's plenty of fall now down into this ditch, which is heading in that direction, and then it makes its way into the internal drainage board ditches. So that land drain you saw there coming off the land, this field was drained, I think it's about 6 years ago now. Was nearly unfarmable before we put those drains in. What the land does, it soaks up the water like a sponge. When them drains are running, it means we're at field capacity. So that is just dripping at the moment, so we're not actually quite at field capacity, so therefore the land can hold a bit more rain. It's like a giant sponge. Once the sponge is full, the water will start running through the sponge and have to go somewhere. So that is what we talk about here on the land when it's at field capacity, and why it's then important to keep these ditches clear so we can get that water off the land if need be and away. Now our actual farming system, the direct drilled system, helps in this because we've got a lot of natural pores, a lot of wormholes, and all the other life within the soil creates natural holding spaces for the water, so it can hold within the soil a lot more porosity, just like a sponge. If we was to do a lot of ploughing, you destroy a lot of that holding capacity. You actually get a lot of air pockets which fill up with water, but it's not moving through the soil profile at all. So you get a lot of water logging on top, which then creates a lot of anaerobic conditions, which therefore means it's no good for our growing crops, and it's no good for the bacteria nor the living organisms within the soil. So yeah, we have to keep these ditches clear. So here you can see just the volume of material that was cleared out of this ditch. So it's quite a lot. We've stacked it on the edge of a crop. We can't put it on here because this is a stewardship area, and we've got to keep that clear. So we sacrifice part of our crop where it's on, and then in the summer this will get spread out and work back into the soil. Yeah, so I've just taken cover back in the truck because it's blowing quite cold outside at the moment, and it was quite cold in that ditch. So yeah, the ditching work we've been doing, we plan to have sort of 7 to 8 year cycle to get around the whole of the estate to maintain our ditches. So we're not doing the same ditch every year. It might be eight or more, depending on the severity of the ditch, before we get back to do it. But it's important that we get the waters off the land. So like I mentioned, the anaerobic condition, it's vital we get the water off the land. If we don't maintain the ditches fill up, then land drains you see will get full above them, therefore the water cannot get off the field and into the ditch. Our fields then flood and become unproductive. We can't travel on them, the crops won't grow because they're anaerobic, and then we have to put a lot of work back in to correct the soil structures once the water's managed to percolate through. We're going to have to recreate that soil, so that creates a lot of more work, a lot more burning of diesel, and hence a lot more carbon being released into the atmosphere. So it's crucial we keep the waters moving. Now I know there is comments of why the farmers, if they maintain the ditches, it just gets the water from A to B a lot quicker and can cause flooding down the line, which yes can be true, but if you maintain a ditch line, all the ditches then have to maintain. So this is taken off and then down into the Witham Forth drainage system, which every year they come and naturally dredge out. So no issue here. This land is draining into a maintained system, and then it is pumped and it is out to sea. So that is fine on this land here. There is other areas and other concerns where the EA might not be dredging their rivers like they should be doing. Therefore the farmers are getting the water off their land, puts it into the water system, and then that water system can no longer cope with it. However, these ditches have been here for a very, very long time, all designed to do a job, which was taking that water off this land. So the whole system needs maintaining to get it off. We can't store the water on our fields, because if we do, we therefore can't grow a crop, therefore can't make a living, and then there'll be no food. So we need to keep the waters moving. So here we're going to take a look at Robert actually clearing one of our ditches. Now on this one you'll see him taking the edge of the bank with him. This one hasn't done for many years, and he just needed to reform the bank because it had been slipping in slightly. We only do it from one side, so any wild plants and things like that on the other side are still maintained, and equally when we're actually reforming the side of the bank, he's only taking a very small sliver off. Therefore hopefully the plants are well rooted in and they will regenerate. It's amazing how quickly these banks will come back, but like I say, it's in a rotation, only ever clearing from one side at a time, so we can maintain as much of the natural environment within that bank as we possibly can. So here we can see Robert from GR Bourne and Son, who do the majority of our digger work, very professional firm, just scooping out the bottom of the ditch, and then as he drags his bucket up, he's just reforming very slightly that bank side. So you can see it's only the very smallest sliver taking off, actually leaving a lot of the vegetation which will grow back through behind. Now he's going to move up and then drop his bucket back down. So he took the first scoop out, which got rid of the main of the depth. Now he's skillfully going to fill the bottom of the ditch through his bucket, and through his controls on his hand he can tell where the bottom of the original ditch line was, and that's all he's doing, scooping out all the debris that's settled on the bottom. And there we go, scooping that last bucket out. Lots of holes in the bucket to allow the water back in. Now you can see the flow down this part of the ditch line, which is already formed out. You see there's quite a bit of flow from here, and all this water is actually only fed off the field. So all this water means this is coming actually off the field. This is heading down into the EA water system, which is actually maintained by the Witham Forth. So again, it is a very well maintained system that our water is going into. And there you go, you can see Robert again with another scoop there. That's got a lot of bramble in that one, so that's the first initial scoop. Quite a lot of soils come out of there, and then he'll just take his next scoop, which will actually feel the bottom and put it back to its original state. So yeah, vital to keep the water flowing. Like I say, this is all water in this ditch has come from the land. If this ditch wasn't here, that water would be settled on top of the land, meaning we couldn't actually farm it. There we go, skillful little slice of soil off there, perfectly formed bank back up, which will regenerate and grow over within the next couple of months, and you wouldn't even been able to tell we'd been there. Okay, so I hope you found that informative. if you've got any questions on what we're doing, please do put them through. If you go onto our Revesby Estate website, you'll see contact details there, and you can send us any questions in that you would like answering. So we're moving into February now. Like I said in the last update, January is about planning for nitrogen applications. We are just about to start in the next week or so putting nitrogen on to our oilseed rape, because it is starting to move. We're starting to get fresh leaves coming out on the top, so it proves the crop is growing, therefore it can use the nitrogens, so we'll put them on. I've been flying a drone over the top of that rape to image map it, so we can figure out exactly how much nitrogen that crop needs to get it to the right growth stage. So yeah, in February hopefully you'll get an update, if the weather's kind and we actually manage to get on, of what we've been doing along the lines of that. Okay, so we look forward to seeing you then.